All right, let's dive into this. We're breaking down a report that's making some serious waves. It's called Professionalized Corruption, and it comes from the Democratic staff of the House Oversight Committee, released in January 2026. The whole thing is about how digital money, crypto and the like, has allegedly created brand new ways to profit from the presidency. So, let's get into what their investigation is actually claiming.
Let's give it a quick drop and split the orange clean in half.
Okay, let's just start with the absolute headline-grabbing number from this report. The analysis alleges that through a few different digital ventures, the Trump family and their affiliates have pulled in wealth and paper gains topping $9.7 billion. It's a staggering figure, and it's really the jumping-off point for everything else the report gets into.
And here's the core argument right from the report's authors. They're not just saying this is business as usual. They're arguing that these new digital financial tools create what they call unprecedented avenues for corruption. Essentially, they believe this raises some really serious constitutional and even national security red flags.
Now, to build this case, the report does something pretty interesting. It draws a really sharp line in the sand, contrasting two different presidential terms. The main point they're trying to make is that the whole game of profiting from the presidency, as they allege, has totally changed, not just in scale, but in the very methods being used. So, think of it like this. The report argues that during the first term, any alleged profits were tied to physical things, hotels, real estate. And those things have limits, right? You can only rent out a hotel room so many times. But what they claim is that the shift to digital assets, cryptocurrency, just blows all those limits away. Suddenly, transactions can be anonymous, they can happen anywhere in the world, and there's virtually no ceiling on the scale. So, how did this supposedly happen? Well, the report zooms in on two specific crypto ventures that it claims are sitting right at the heart of this new financial playbook. First on the list is a company called World Liberty Financial, or WLF. The report paints it as a venture geared towards foreign digital payments, almost like a crypto bank. But here's the detail they really zero in on: its structure. The report claims it was set up so that once a certain amount of money came in, a whopping 75% of the net revenues would go straight to the Trump family.
And the second venture? The Trump meme coin. Now, if you're not a crypto person, a meme coin is basically what the report calls a joke currency. It's not really for anything. It's more like a collectible, a baseball card or stamp, as they put it. Its value is all about hype and what people are willing to pay for it. And the report alleges that entities tied to the Trump organization hold 80% of all these coins, giving them massive control over its value.
This is where the report tries to connect the dots between these digital tools and actual government decisions. It lays out a few case studies that allege quid pro quo arrangements, a this for that kind of deal, starting with a couple that involve presidential pardons.
So the report lays out this timeline involving an investor named Justin Sun. It claims that WLF was really struggling. Then, Sun, who was reportedly under a federal investigation at the time, comes in with a crucial $30 million investment. According to the analysis, this is what pushed WLF into the green for the Trump family, and then, a short time later, the SEC's case against Sun was paused. The report strongly implies these events are connected.
The second case study they present involves Changpeng Zhao, the founder of the huge crypto exchange Binance. The report points out that he had pleaded guilty to some very serious financial crimes. It then alleges that his company, Binance, made a deal with WLF that was set to be incredibly profitable for the Trump family. And after that, in October 2025, President Trump gave Zhao a full pardon.
All right, moving away from pardons, the report's next case study shifts gears and takes a look at national security, alleging a link between financial deals and American foreign policy.
This one focuses on the United Arab Emirates. The core allegation here is a supposed link between huge crypto investments coming from the UAE into these Trump family-connected ventures. And what happened next? A change in U.S. policy on selling sensitive tech that was a big win for the UAE.
And the report lays out a specific timeline for how it claims this all went down. It starts in May 2025 with a $2 billion investment announced by the UAE. Then, just days later, it says the administration started looking at loosening export rules on advanced AI chips to the UAE. The report then wraps up by citing a New York Times piece that claimed a deal was eventually made, which raised alarms that this advanced U.S. tech could potentially find its way to China.
So, after all these case studies, what's the bottom line? Where does the money trail lead? The report offers its own breakdown of the profits it alleges were generated from all these digital ventures.
Okay, first, it's really important to get how the report talks about this money.
It splits it into two buckets. You've got realized profits, that's cash in the bank, money that's already been pocketed. And then you have paper wealth, which is the theoretical value of the digital assets they still hold. It's wealth that could go up or down, sometimes like crazy. So if we just focus on the realized profits, the actual cash, the report calculates that the huge majority of it, 73%, came from selling those WLF coins. Another 26% came from sales and fees related to the meme coin, and then a tiny sliver from interest. And this brings us to the report's final number for cash-in-hand profits. It gives a conservative, lower-limit estimate of $2.25 billion that it claims has already been pocketed. And remember, that's completely separate from that much larger, multi-billion-dollar paper wealth number we saw at the start.
Let's give it a quick drop and split the orange clean in half.
To really hammer home its constitutional argument, the report includes this quote from Charles Dent. Now, he's a former Republican congressman who actually chaired the House Ethics Committee, so his perspective here is pretty notable. He's quoted as saying that foreign governments using these channels to curry favor with the president is completely out of bounds. So in the end, when you boil it all down, the central claim of this staff analysis is that new digital technology has created entirely new and much harder to trace ways to potentially profit from holding public office. The question it leaves us with is a tough one. In an age of anonymous, borderless digital cash, how can the old rules ever hope to keep up?
Let's give it a quick drop and split the orange clean in half.
We at Billionaires News Now welcome your comments regarding the billionaires who are missing from this list. We invite your suggestions for the billionaires who should have been included here, or who should be sent to the guillotine, or the mouth of the active volcano, or the Vermette Arena to fight to the finish. Billionaires News Now is here for you. From the BNN News Desk to you,
let's give it a quick drop and split the orange clean in half.
I'd like to thank you for listening, and if you like what you have seen and heard, please consider following or subscribing or checking out the book itself.
Let's give it a quick drop and split the orange clean in half.
So in this first chapter, which is doing, again, so much heavy lifting, is trying to give you the context, is trying to bring you into this world where everything is a little bit backwards from our current world. It's hopefully giving you the context that you need if you haven't read the rules and regulations, if you haven't visited the website. Even if you don't understand, hopefully this opening chapter is at least tickling something in your brain and making you go, that's interesting. And then if you have read the rules and regulations, then this will make perfect sense to you. Like, oh yes, I see what they're doing. And then, Lev has these final lines where he looks at everyone in the boardroom and says, this is not just about the company. And this is not just about me. This affects each and every one of you too. We either solve this problem or our next meeting will be all of us together on the floor of Vermette Arena. And there I'll be poking your eyes out for real. So that's calling back, if you think about Naked Eye. So that's calling back to Naked Eye. And then what is this Vermette Arena? For those of you who've read the big rules and regulations, you know what the Vermette Arena is, and you're pumped. But if you don't know, if you're reading this cold, you're thinking, why would their next meeting be together on the floor of Vermette Arena? And there he'll be poking their eyes out for real? Hopefully that's got you a little excited. So that's the opening chapter of My Billionaires Games by J.L. Gold, Level 1. And I should also note that the entire book, all the primary chapters are going to go up on Reddit, and then the Apocrypha is only going to be available in the book form because the Apocrypha would be spoilery. I'd like to thank you for listening, and if you like what you have seen and heard, please consider following or subscribing or checking out the book itself. Thank you very much for your time. In the name of fairness, please be well.